That's not gonna work, is it? I don't know why I thought that it maybe would. I look like the fucking guy from X-Men. Let's lose the glasses. What is up, gang? In our last video, I used a technique right at the end and I wanted to spend an entire segment on it. I think it's super powerful. I think you guys are gonna get a lot from it. So I have 3 techniques for you today. We're gonna be doing a little bit of this. Some of this. And finally, I got this initial idea from a Disclosure live stream, and they were using the RC20 in a really creative way. And I thought, man, a lot of people would benefit from this, but not everybody has the RC20. So I've not only recreated that effect with the RC20, but I've also come up with a few techniques that you can use if you don't have that plugin. So make sure you stick around right until the end. I looked at my YouTube analytics and it says that more than 80% of people that watch my videos aren't currently subscribed. So if that's you, I'm talking to you, make sure you hit that button, you're watching the videos, hit the bell icon so you know when I'm uploading. And whilst you're there, give it a like. Was this a little bit weird? This segment was weird, right? I think we're safe now. Are we safe? I think we'll get by, guys. I don't think anybody at home is screaming at their dear. What is going on? I don't think anybody at home is screaming for me to take my glasses back off. Let's jump into it. So at the beginning of this video, I previewed a few techniques that we're gonna learn today. Disclosure used RC20, which you guys know I'm a huge fan of. And I thought during the stream, there's probably loads of people that wanna try this technique or techniques that are similar, but don't have RC20. So today I'm gonna run you through a bunch of techniques, whether you do or don't have RC20, so that you can get the DJ master effects that you're looking for. Let's do it. So what you saw beforehand is an exact replica of what Disclosure had in their live stream. I've automated the magnitude, okay? So beforehand, my RC20 looks like this, but as RC20 takes effect, you can see that the noise, distortion, cut, and width have been affected. And this is essentially like our dry wet. Something that I've added that I don't believe they had in their live stream that I remember is I've just reduced the gain by about 2 dB as well. Now, why have I done this? Say you're building up to the drop section of your song. You want that drop to have the most impact, right? So by decreasing the gain by 2 dB as you build up, it's gonna sound much more impactful anyway. That being said, you're also adding noise and distortion, possibly reverb or delay to your build up section. So you don't wanna overload the listener with all of these effects, all of these distorted frequencies, and then drop into something clean and it sounds subpar. So that's the 2 reasons why I've reduced the gain there. So this is what it looks like. It just travels along. Everything's being sent to this new channel here. And just as it gets to these last 2, it ramps up to almost 100%. And it's just really subtle. If I pull it out more and turn RC20 on, you guys can see what it's doing. So let me show you all of the techniques and start from a completely blank canvas. Just to fill everybody in, what's going on is I have 4 stems. The first one with just some drums on it, the second one with melodies, the third one with noise and effects, and the 4th one with any vocal stabs or vocal effects. So what you guys are effectively going to want to create is a master effects bus, somewhere where you send all your effects before it goes to the master, so you can keep the master track completely clean. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new audio track down here, and then we're going to send each of these pieces of audio to number 7, which we'll later call our audio effects bus. So let's rename that. There we go, and you can see they're all renamed on the right there. So all of the audio is going here. So then what you need to do on your audio effects bus is say, you know, where am I receiving everything from? So we need to set it as in, and then it's going to the master. And there should be audio from those channels coming in. Great. I don't send absolutely everything there. Sometimes it's nice to have rises and crashes, any hits not affected by that. And that means when you come out of any effects that you've added, you're still getting some like pure audio come through. So there you can see that I've got some rises and some crashes that aren't being sent. So the next thing that I want to do is create RC20. And I want to add that to my audio effects bus. And then what I want to do is apply those changes that I want to occur at the end of the bar. So we're going to add some distortion. We're going to go to heavy. We'll recreate that disclosure sound again. We're going to set this to VHS. About 40%. I'm going to adjust these curves and we're going to set this to about 450. I'm going to make the tone a little bit brighter. Bring the width up to 160% and the gain down by 2. Then turn your magnitude all the way down. So what's happening is when it gets to 100% or wherever you set it, you can see those effects start to take place. If you're using Ableton, hit the A key, that brings up your automation and you're probably on magnitude already because we've just touched that fader last. But if not, you can go over to the right-hand side and find magnitude. It's the second one down. So let's do it at that same place. We're going to create a node there. We're going to create a really tall node and one just after, which will bring back to the same point. If you hold your Alt key, you'll create a curve. So we're just going to create a slight curve there and I'm just going to bring it a little bit down under 100%. There we go. And what I did in the example was just set it to that last bar there. And I actually had it come out of it across the first 2 fractions of the new bar. And that's just because it can be a little bit clippy when it comes out and you don't want any clicks or pops as it comes out of that effect. There we go. And it's just a nice little piece of ear candy, makes the track a little bit more interesting. But let's say you don't have RC20. Well, what else can you do? You guys have probably heard of macros and some of you might not know how to use the macros in a similar fashion. So what we're going to do this time around is we're going to turn RC20 off for now and we're going to add an audio effects rack. So we go down to audio effects and you choose your effects rack. Now, what are we going to do with this? Well, I'm going to add a DJ filter. If you don't have the DJ filter, although it is free from Extra Records, you can of course use an EQ and low or high pass it. So let's add a DJ filter and bring the reso down slightly and turn the drive up. Some plate reverb and we'll come back to that. And then let's add a beat repeat. So with our beat repeat, we're going to keep it at mix, but we're going to turn the filter on and just bring it to about 2.5 kilohertz. We'll keep the grid on 1/16, but we're going to turn the gate up to an entire bar. The interval's at 1 bar and the chance is at 100%, so that's all good. I'm going to turn that off for a second just to hear what the effect sounds like. So I want to take some of the low gain down and let's keep that above 800 and the high frequency. I'm going to keep it around 14,000. My rate I'm going to take down, but my depth I'm going to take up to about 30%. Let's make it nice and wide again. We could do about 140%. Bring my decay down to about 2.5 and that should be good. So we're getting this tight room vibe. And then with my DJ filter, this is just going to move up and create a high pass kind of effect. Let's turn that beat repeat back on. This is what this is going to sound like. Cool, so we may not take the reverb to 100%. And I'll show you guys how I automate this. So because it's in an effects chain, what I can actually do is choose this top option here and it shows me the macros. And if we hit map, it gives me the option to set these different effects to one knob. And that's really helpful. That's really helpful for live performance. If you want to take a launch control, a launch pad, a launch key, anything. Doesn't have to be the launch products. They're just what I have in front of me. So what am I going to do first? I'm going to map the control of the low high pass filters to this macro here. So I choose this low high pass filter here and then I hit map. I'm also going to choose the mix and I'm going to hit map. And I'm also going to choose the volume of my beat repeat and I'm going to hit map. and we can turn map off. With this volume, I'm actually going to take it to a little bit higher. So when we hit map, you might notice in the top left here, we actually have some options, and these are similar to when you press Command M if you're going to MIDI map anything. The problem I have right now is if I was just to stay off map and try to affect this, well, it does do what we say, but it's also low passing, and that's the first problem. So if I take this to 50%, it's gonna start completely dry. So the lowest marking doesn't have any effect, which is great. I also wanna make sure that my beat repeat doesn't go above 2.5 dB. So I don't mind that having an effect. And the maximum for the wet is gonna be about 95%. So everything else starts from completely dry, the high pass filter takes effect, the wet for the reverb takes effect, and the beat repeat becomes really loud and obnoxious too. Let's see how that sounds. And you get an idea of how that would work in practice. All that's left is you can either hit record and the plus knob to make sure that that's worked. You just have to press A and you can see our nodes there have made sure it's recording, or you can just hit A and like we did before, create 3 nodes, drop that right up, pull that right up, sorry. You want to hold Alt, create a curve, and there we have it. I currently have a couple of spaces left for my one-to-one production sessions. And as always, if you're interested in any of the gear that I use for recording, for streaming, or anything else, you can visit my links below, as well as join my Patreon, where I'll be posting content just for those who are my Patreons. However, macros can be quite confusing. So there is a way that you can just record in some of the audio and affect that on tracks of its own as well. And I use this technique often to create new tracks of just one-shot effects. So how do you go about doing that? Well, let's say you want a tape stop effect. A lot of Ableton users think that they have to download like a free DJ tape stop effect. And you can do that, and a lot of them work really, really nicely. But there's a much easier way to do it. And doing it this way, I feel, gives you a lot more control. So let me show you how to do that now. You want to create a new track. So right click, insert audio track, or Shift Command T if you're on Mac. And you want to set this to record the audio in. So anything from the master, recording in, and you need to set that to record arm. I normally just mute it so I don't get any feedback or anything like that. And let's just record a section of our audio. Just as an example, I'm gonna do it here where the song breaks down. So I'm gonna hit record here. And we don't really need that tail in there, so I'm gonna get rid of that. You can take this off record arm and you can turn it back to off. And of course, we've doubled up on the audio. So just for now, I'm gonna select this region and I'm gonna press 0, which deactivates the clips above it. There we go. So we have just the audio underneath here. And then what I can do on this section is create like a tape slow effect. If I double click on it and go to this marking here, it brings open my envelopes. And in the top, I have options for clips and I have options for the mixer, and this has track pan in volume, etc. If I go to the clip and come down, I have transposition. And on this marker, what I can do is create a little tape slow effect. So I'm actually going to pull this down and create a little bit of a curve and just see how it sounds. So that's a little bit long for my liking. So I'm actually going to bring this to about the halfway point. Cool, so something like that's going to work quite well. And then what we can do here is create a DJ tape stop effect. So we can have one on, one off, as if you were crab scratching as a DJ. We'll have there. We'll take this one off, press 0, and then we'll have that last one there, and we'll press 0. And then let's bring our riser and our crash over this way. We can, of course, double click on that and hit reverse as well. So we'll have the reverse effect here. If you get this really nice, you can make it sound like it's kind of scratching back and forth. Maybe you want to get rid of that last one, and we can take this last snare hit here. We can put it on a new track, and we can add a plate reverb to that and just make it sound really, really huge just for that one hit. Of course, that was super quick, but you get the idea. I know I only said 3 techniques, but I also have a bonus clip here, which I'm going to show you super quickly. Valhalla actually have a free plugin called Frequency Echo. This isn't sponsored. I just think it's really sick. I actually used this on one of my own tracks on my first album, which you can listen to here. And essentially what you can do is increase the delay and start shifting the time down. It will give the effect that this track's getting out of phase, slowing down, and then get zipped back into place before your final drop of the song. It looks a little something like this. So if we go into the Valhalla Frequency Echo, my shift is slowly going down. My wet dry is coming up with a small curve at the end there as we go back into our 0 position. And my delay is ramping up to about 50% and then curving over. And it looks like this and gives this effect. I think if you use all of these techniques in a creative way, you can come out with a super interesting track that your audience is going to want to take the time to listen to from start to finish. So there we have it, guys. A few techniques where you can make your track sound a little bit more interesting by adding an effects bus ahead of your master track, just as a DJ would in a live performance. I hope you found this helpful. Quick question for you guys. What do you want to see in future videos? I'd love to help out more of the community. As always, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Give it a share while you're there. And I want to quickly play out this episode with the winning beat of our bi-weekly beat battle. If you want to take part in our beat battles, as always, the links are in the description below. Congratulations to the winner, and I'll see you guys next time.